What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've gotten a few comments lately and I've had a few side discussions on this concept of the Techno Utopia. And I have to admit that I fell into this scam as well. And it wasn't until maybe the last 2 or 3 months where a good, solid group of buddies is like, Trav, it is not happening. And I'm like, no, it definitely is. You know, technology is exponential, and we're at that spot in the curve where it's just gonna start doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling. And all of my buddies, a group of 4 guys, is like, bro, Moore's Law turned into an S curve in 2017. To which I pick up the phone with one of my old college professors, and I'm like, is Moore's Law, like, is that true? And she's like, oh yeah, Trav, yeah, that 2017. And, you know, she's an economist professor, so she tracks this stuff. So I was like, oh my goodness, my group is right. Well, I was like, well, what about self-driving cars and like robo taxis and the fact that we're going to displace all of these jobs? Let me read you a comment from the channel this week. Great stuff in long format is great if you have good content. I do disagree with you on the inflation deflation. With the way technology is increasing exponentially, the next currency system will have to be deflationary. Just wait until artificial intelligence is mainstream and makes most of the world's jobs go away. Our economy will have to be based in a deflationary system. So this is what I would call the Techno Utopia lie. It is not happening. It will happen at some point in time. But at this moment in time, 2022, it is not happening. We are actually reversing trend. If you look around the world, things are getting less rational. Things are getting crazier. Things are breaking down. The ability to produce air filters or oil or tires or housing panels or paint or any of those things is falling. So we're not moving to this spot of robo taxis, all the robots take the jobs away, etc., etc. Can the world elite perfectly enslave the world's population with the available technology? They already have. You're walking around all day. Oh my gosh, she liked my photo. Oh, swipe right, swipe left. Instead of just walking up to a chick that you think is hot and just saying, hey, put your number in my phone. It's just reversed on that. We're eating poisons and we're consuming estrogen in public water. I mean, it's insane when you look at how not advanced we are relative to where we were only 50 years ago. So one thing I want to point out is that airplanes have not flew faster on less fuel since 1974. Look it up. And you can't debate that. Like, it's just airliners like Delta, Southwest. Their planes have not flown faster or used less fuel since 1974. That's when they peaked. We also came off the gold standard in 1971. So we got rid of this perfect ledger of accountability. I had a 5,000-year track record. And we moved to a debt-based monetary system. And so to continue to consume more than we produced, we had to offshore jobs. And so we were able to offshore jobs and buy things cheaply. And then as we did that, we started to hollow out our middle class, which we filled that void with debt. And we're like, oh no, you're still middle class. You still have 2 cars and maybe even a boat. And you go on vacation and you still have a house. But the difference is you don't own any of it now, as far as the average middle class dude. Back in the 50s, they definitely did. Back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, if you wanted a home mortgage, 5 years max. You had 5 years max, you had to put down 50%. And you couldn't refi. All that stuff came about when Reagan got into office, and he's like, look at all this extra home equity people have, and if they don't sell their homes and we just let them loan against their homes, they can buy, pools or do a patio or, do their landscaping or put a garage on the thing or any of this. So he gave this boost to the economy because in 1981, a lot of people thought we were going to have a depression, and they were able to kick the can until we are now. So the point on this comment is, well, we're going to move to a deflationary system. Well, yeah, technology is deflationary. It lets one guy do the work of 10 guys, and then eventually it lets one guy do the work of 100 guys, or the fact that I can speak to you through a video and I can speak to 1 million people, I can speak to 10 million people. So technology certainly is deflationary, but technology has stopped moving forward. And if you have this mindset, you won't be trapped in like the Cathie Wood mentality of ARK Investor and these other people who are like, technology is so abundant. By 2025, the world is going to be like amazing. Like, let me tell you like a quick thing. When I was a kid, I was on a mail list, not an email list, a mail list for something called the Moeller Sky Car. It was red, had 4 engines on it, sat 4, and it was a flying car. This would be like 1993, 1994. I was on that list until it was an email list in college. Never happened. It never happened. And so what I'm saying is that technology typically rolls into 50-year cycles, and that we capped in 74, and here we are. And I would expect towards the later part of the 20s to get back onto that cycle. So 40 or 50 years from now, yes, Techno Utopia, the singularity, all of those things could totally happen. But as far as, are we going faster on more fuel? Are we making any advancements in the physical world whatsoever? Are we using better materials? Are those materials getting cheaper? Can we 3D print parts yet? You know, can we do that? Do we have automated drones doing delivery services? And I'll wrap up with this tweet from Elon yesterday, Elon Musk, and this is it's just absolutely amazing what, I mean, I love Elon, but it's amazing what we let him get away with. Self-driving will work at a safety level well above that of the average driver this year. Of that, I'm confident. Can't speak for regulators though. And then he goes on to admit that he gives it a 5 as far as Tesla's self-driving at this point in time. If you don't know, because these stories get iced over and covered up, the Tesla self-driving mode has a terrible safety record at this point in time. It's basically not full self-driving. Sure, you can sit there on the interstate and the thing can ride itself around, but essentially what he's coming up with is like, well, we'll take robo-taxis, and like he wants robo-taxis, and he invents trains. You know, like, oh, we'll put the robo-taxis going through the tunnel because self-driving is difficult, like all these different ideas. I'm not poo-pooing on Elon. I love what the guy is doing. But what I am saying is that this isn't happening. And this isn't happening this year. Oh, guys, just one more year. Just wait until 22, 23. Oh, wait until... Like, what is happening is we are at a point where every 80 to 100 years, somewhere in that range, we have a real depression, where all of the malinvestment, all of the kicking the can down the road, all of the social issues, all of the unrest, all of it boils over. We have a big event, and then after that event, everybody makes peace. They figure out a new currency. Typically, sometimes they call it the old currency, but they change the rules of the currency. Just like 1971, the dollar didn't go away. It was just called the dollar, but it wasn't backed by gold. But it was still a dollar, but it didn't buy you the same amount of stuff. You don't buy a Coke for 5 cents anymore. I mean, you have your political elites going out there going like, our goal is to destroy the purchasing power of the US dollar by 2% a year. And everyone's like, oh, okay, that sounds good. And you're like, no, that's not good. You're not allowed to destroy the purchasing power of my currency. Thankfully, I have options. I don't have to use your crap currency, and I don't use your crap currency. I pay like my monthly bills with it, and that's it. Everything else, I own hard assets, literally gold, silver, Bitcoin, other cryptos, private cryptos, because I can see where that's going, land, tractors, machines, stuff like that. But my point is that if you buy into this Techno Utopia thing, you're probably going to have the wrong framework, and you're not going to benefit on being on the contrarian play of that. Are we going to have robo-taxis at some point in time? Probably. Are we going to have robo-taxis this decade? Probably not. And so if you're on the fence of like, well, no, that's going to happen. I mean, my brother and I just had this conversation. He's like, no, Trav, that's wrong. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in like the next 2 or 3 years. Like, we're on the exponential part of the curve. I'm like, we're at the plateau part where our society is actually falling down. And then we're going to have to settle this out. All of this debt, all the trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, all the people that can't own homes, all the people that have student loans that with degrees that they don't use, all of the people that sit at home and make PowerPoints and send emails all day and somehow can consume resources based on that. All of that has to be shaken out. So we're not at that spot where it's just going to be this techno utopia and we're just going to live in like either a dystopian world or a super utopian world of like technologies running around and like it. Basically, we're going to the Hunger Games, like where, yeah, there will be some cool tech out there, but it's not new tech. Look at Uber. Uber is one of the most successful companies to the last decade. They're not profitable. They've never made a profit. They survive on debt, which is bizarre because they don't own any taxi cabs, and all they did was repackage the model. Instead of us owning the cars as the company and having them on our balance sheet and using employees, we'll use employees, subcontractors, gig workers, and we'll use their cars. And they'll buy the tires and the fuel and the transmissions and all that stuff, and we'll just make our fee. But yet we still can't make money. I mean, will we see robo-taxis replaced at some point in time? That would be the logical next step, but we're not there yet. So thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and as always, I'll see you in the comments. Peace.